had lunch with a friend the other day. His name's Bill. I've known him for 15 years, and we're both trivia nuts. And when we get together, we trade trivia. And you know what talking trivia is like between trivia nuts? The Canadian humorist Stephen Leacock said in one of his stories, which is called Gertrude the Governess, Lord Ronald said nothing. He flung himself upon his horse and rode off madly in all directions. And that's what it's like when trivia geeks talk trivia. We ride off in all directions. For example, this time I said I thought that the greatest Tarzan movie was the 1959 Tarzan's Greatest Adventure with Gordon Scott, the one in which one of the baddies is Sean Connery. And Bill disagreed. He said Tarzan and His Mate is the best Tarzan film. And I said I remember there was a B-Western cowboy star called Ken Maynard. He had a horse called Tarzan, didn't he? And Bill said, well, Hopalong Cassidy also had a white horse. That was called Topper. And I said the Lone Ranger had a white horse called Silver, whose real name was White Cloud, and it was nicknamed by Clayton Moore, who played the Lone Ranger, Liverlips. Look at the way his lips move. Then the name, of course, of Trigger came up. Now, Trigger was Roy Rogers' horse, but he was much more famous than Roy Rogers ever was. Trigger's real name was Golden Cloud, and he appeared in the 1938 Adventures of Robin Hood. Here he is being ridden into Sherwood Forest by Olivia de Havilland. All right, I know what you're saying. Is this of any use to man or beast? Well, geekdom paid off for me. My casual interest in all things weird and wonderful ended up with me getting an honest-to-goodness job. For 13 years, I worked writing questions on a TV game show about TV. It's called Telly Addicts. I learned a thing or two. Here's a round from Telly Addicts, which makes me happy. Watch it and guess why.
The Spotlight round starts now. Whose voice was heard first on every episode of Dad's Army?
Bud Flanagan.
Yes, look at this. Name the film.
West Side Story.
On which show would you meet Victor and Margaret Meldrew?
One Foot in the Grave.
Sue, which family own a yellow Robin Reliant van?
The Trotters.
Look at this. Who's behind the disguise?
Nick Owen.
Complete the catchphrase. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Cinema, cinema.
Yep. Jackie, which Doctor Who actor starred in the life and lives of a she-devil?
Don't know.
Tom Baker. Look at this. Name the actor.
Anton Rogers.
Yeah. Who owned a pet rat thinking it was a hamster?
Manuel.
Yeah. Denise, complete the title. Drop the...
Donkey. Dead donkey.
Yes. Look at this. Name the character.
Parker.
Thunderbirds. In Blackadder Goes Forth, Colonel Melchit's sidekick was called...
Pike. I don't know.
Is that the answer?
Yes, I don't know. Really,
It was
so.
Captain Darling.
Oh, really?
And you had loads of time. And you scored an amazing 10.
The questions there were just right for the circumstances. That is to say, a television quiz show which is meant to be entertaining. Now, even the answers they didn't know, those ladies took a guess at, and most of the time got it right. So everybody felt good. That's where I learned the difference between trivia and knowledge, between academics and geeks.
If you have a book that has, suppose it's about physics and biology and Sumatra.
You see, academics can be dry and dusty.
And
A trivia geeks always have to be
By
fun and
age,
interesting. And what's the point of a question? A useless question like, so what's the color of hippopotamus's sweat? It makes the questioner sound good, but it bores the pants off the person who's trying to answer the question. Now, a good question is one in which everybody knows the answer, and if they don't know the answer and they're told what the answer is, they go, it was on the tip of my tongue. Here's a good question. Sean Connery was the first actor to play James Bond in a movie. Roger Moore was the third. Who was the second? Now, the answer is, of course, George Lazenby. But you knew that, didn't you? You felt good about it, even smug. But if you can't remember and you're told it's George Lazenby, you say, of course, I knew that, but I just couldn't remember it. And if you don't know who George Lazenby is at all, you'll say, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Hadn't heard that name before. Now, here's a really bad question. Who was the first person to play James Bond? The answer is Bob Holness in an adaptation of Moonraker on South African radio. But you see, that's a little obscure, isn't it? I only know the answer to that because when I worked on Call My Bluff, where Bob Holness was the chairman, every day I met him, he'd remind me that he was the first person to play James Bond. He was very, very proud of that fact. Call My Bluff also required a knowledge of useless trivia. The rules, in case you never saw it, contestants were given a word and 3 definitions, 2 false and 1 true, which was the true one. So this required a short paragraph, a short script, about 30 seconds, on 2 fakes and 1 true definition. The fake definitions needed to sound real, and the real definitions needed to throw people off the scent. Here's one of my scripts as an example of being delivered brilliantly by Derek Jacobi.
Goat suckers are totty palemate. Western swifts are totty palemate. Loons are totty palemate. Or, if you want another word for it, they are all steganopithus. If you look very carefully, you'll find that Donald Duck is totty palemate. Now, totty palmation is a very hot topic at the moment because there's a great deal of heated debate among paleontologists as to whether dinosaurs were totty palmate. Now, since I know the meaning of totty palmate, I can't believe that they were, because why would a creature need to be totty palmate? Well, a creature would need to be totty palmate or steganopithus in order to swim. Now, dinosaurs didn't need to swim, ergo they couldn't have been totty palmate or steganopithus. Now, if you look at the feet of a totty palmate creature, what do you see? You see a membrane joining all the toes together. In other words, you see a wholly webbed foot. So, just to sum up, goat suckers, Western swifts, loons, Donald Duck, but not dinosaurs, are totty palmate. They are webbed feet.
I thought we'd never get there.
By the way, that was the real definition of totty palmate, webbed feet. And just by writing that little script about totty palmate and webbed feet, I became an expert on webbed-footed creatures. I don't care. I'm a trivia geek.
And what name's given to a slot or recess, usually rectangular, cut into a piece of wood or stone to receive a matching projection called a tenon?
Mortise.
What word for a decorative marking of the skin made by puncturing it and inserting colourings comes from Polynesian languages such as Tahitian?
Tattoo.
Which children's character was first played on stage in 1904 by 37-year-old Nina Buseko, the sister of the play's director? Although he's a boy, he's usually played by a woman.
Peter Pan.
What is the roundest thing in the universe?
The Earth is thingy, is it squashed? It's not round.
No, that's right, it's an oblate spheroid.
Oh, Nelly Furtado! He's got a word for everything.
We love trivia. We wallow in the stuff, but some people don't. But isn't it nice to know that this pirate is Glenn Close, and this sinister stormtrooper is 007 himself, Daniel Craig, and the 7 dwarfs are called Grumpy, Sneezy, Dopey, Sleepy, Doc, Bashful, and Happy. And the actors who played the Magnificent Seven are Yul Brynner, Steve McQueen, Horst Buchholz, Charles Bronson, Robert Vaughn, Brad Dexter, and James Coburn. And Doctor Who was played by William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton and John.